This guitar used to be special. Welcome back, Troglodytes, to your daily dose of guitar information, the Trogly's Guitar Show. That's right, today we're taking a look at a very interesting mid-2000s Gibson Les Paul Custom with a really cool custom finish. This is what is known as the limited edition 2005 Gibson Les Paul Custom Tribal. You know, based on the stylings of these tribal tattoos, the ends of the flames here. But the reason I say this used to be special is it's because it's way before the Gibson mod collection happened. Now every week we get some cool, crazy custom finish. Occasionally you'll find pinstripes or other weird and out there designs. But in the early 2000s, you didn't see that as much as you do today now. But the custom shop created 10 of these. And basically, it's just a regular black Les Paul Custom, a standard level one, not a particular reissue. But in gold paint, you have these tribal-like flames, which are metallic in nature, so they stand out without being too over the top. This is still a pretty classy looking beast. And it's not the only time Gibson used the tribal branding for a guitar, because 4 years later, they created the Flying V and Explorer tribal models. Now, these aren't exactly the same thing. They've got different designs and they also have Kahler tremolos, but they definitely look a little bit more tribal tattoo-like than the Les Paul Custom Tribal. But if you really like this one because of the flames, you might also check out one of the Les Paul GTs. They came in a variety of colors as well, except for the flames go the other way. Now, in my opinion, I think they look better coming from the top than the bottom, but your personal thoughts might vary. You can check out a review of one of those here. They got the really cool mirror inlays. So is that where our story ends today? No, this model was not actually the first time Gibson used this flame design. In fact, Gibson did some other really crazy ones, so despite this one being a 1 of 10, it's just a 1 of 10 of the black Les Paul Custom with the gold stripes. Just wait till you see these other models. We'll start with the Les Paul Standards. Here is a crazy silver sparkle with blue sparkle flames that get darker as you go down. This one is definitely out there and in your face. Here's another silver sparkle I found with the orange flames. Here was a gorgeous Les Paul Standard in black and red. I feel these work really well. That solid black with a slight metallic flame rather than the over-the-top sparkle definitely gives it a little bit more of a classier vibe. And hey, just for fun, here's a really crazy Les Paul Custom. Not sure if that's factory stock or not. Might have been a made-to-measure. But hey, if that's not crazy enough for you, they also did raised flame versions. Look how crazy that is. That's a real relief carving. So this portion actually sticks up. And the coloring of those flames is pretty cool. But if that wasn't insane enough for you, here's an interesting example for sale over in Japan right now. They used flame maple and decided not to paint it. So your flames are actually flamed. I was kind of tempted to pick this one up just because of how unique that is. I mean, it's not my favorite design in the world, but it is fascinating. But that one was done up in 2007, where some of these date all the way to the early 2000s, like around 2003-ish. And then I was also able to find another ebony Les Paul Custom, just like what we have today, except for this was a 68 reissue, meaning it's going to have the long neck tenon, upgraded pickups, and the ABR1 bridge. But instead of gold flames, we got a little bit of red mixed with blue into a green, and then into more of a yellow slime color. So I'd be real curious, which version is your guys' favorite? I'm definitely not disappointed with the one that I ended up with, because it's a bold statement piece without going too crazily over the top. But to learn more about this particular run, let's go ahead and throw it on the workbench to take a look at its parts and specs. Our pickups are the standard ones for a Les Paul Custom, a 490R in the neck and a 490AT in the bridge. Reading 13.33 in the bridge and 7.7 in the neck, with a combined reading of 4.87 for fun. The gold is in pretty good shape on these covers, but you do have some scratches, as well as some tarnishing. The neck pickup cavity reveals gold paint and a short neck tenon construction. The bridge pickup cavity is very similar. This seems to suggest the entire custom was painted gold, and then some sort of design was taped to the top, and then they sprayed the black over top of it. The bridge is your typical Nashville-style one that mounts into the body with studs, and we have a full-weight gold tailpiece. It has your regular volume and tone control for each pickup, with your output jack on the side. Besides our fancy finish adorning the top, it's still made of maple and mahogany. Generally, Les Paul Customs in this era that are just regular customs still have 9-hole weight relief despite being pretty heavy. Another slightly special feature, the fact that we do not have a pickguard on this stock from the factory. for obvious reasons. Being a 2005, the fretboard is 100% ebony. This example has some interesting light streaks within it, which pairs very well with the tribal finish. But you have 22 medium jumbo style frets with a 24 3/4 inch scale length, a nut width of 1.69 inches, which increases to 2.06 by the 12th, a first fret neck depth of 0.9, which increases to 1 by the 12th. Here's that neck at the first fret and the 12th fret. It's your typical in-between neck profile, rounded C, but nothing too chunky. Nothing too crazy going on up here, just your regular Gibson mother of pearl logo with split diamond custom inlay, with multiply binding around it. The headstock features a truss rod cover that reads Les Paul Custom. Moving on to the backside, it's completely black. However, if you view it in the light, you can actually still see the mahogany wood grain through the finish, as is typical with most Gibsons. You can see there's something strange in the wood right there where maybe it wasn't sanded flush. And this example does have a few light dings in various areas, but as far as the ones I've seen online, this is actually pretty clean. And only the strap buttons have been replaced with Schalers. The condition around the edges is pretty clean, just typical light marks. Although there is an area right here where it looks like a strap has kind of rubbed through the binding a little bit. Now for our treble side, similar stuff, and a scuff mark along the edge there. But here's what the control cavity looks like. We've got the Gibson branded pots in all 4 locations, and our ceramic disc capacitors. And it does feature the thin binding in the cutaway. The neck is also in good shape and is a complete ebony color. The only wear to note is a ding in our clear coat right here. And as is common on 2000s era Gibsons, the necks tend to shrink, and then you get this line along the fretboard where the fretboard hasn't changed its width, but the neck has slightly shrunk, and you get like a very small ledge right here. Thankfully, the side that you see while you're playing is much more minor, but you can still feel a very slight ridge. It's also important to check for neck humps right in this area on 2000s era customs. This one appears to be good. We've got some hanger-related marks along the edges of our headstock, and it's just our regular Grover tuners here with a serial number of CS53280. So that tells us it's a 2005 3280 guitar made that year. And the way you know you're within the 2000s era is how many digits are in your serial number. So for example, say this 0 wasn't there and this was your serial number, that's how you know you'd be around 1995. However, if there was an additional digit, then you know you'd either be in 2015 or 2025. But if all else fails, you can come over to your case that's with the guitar. If it's still original, this will also help you date it. This style case was used from, roughly 2003 to 2018-ish. The style of case candy can also help you, to an extent, as well as what type of COA you have. Now, unfortunately, this guitar does not have a COA. It should, but I'm betting this one was still crafted when they were using the large pieces of paper, and it's very common for those things to get lost before they switch to the small custom shop booklet. All said and done, this one is 10 pounds, 1 ounce. Let's go ahead, plug it in, and hear how it sounds. Now that we know all about the Gibson Les Paul Custom Tribal, what are my final thoughts on this? I had initially picked this one up on Reverb thinking, yeah, let's just do the review and demo. It's a custom color Les Paul Custom. I love documenting those. I also like collecting them. But keeping this one was not exactly what I was thinking at first. But now that we know all about the other Les Paul Custom Flames out there, I've got to say, this is the most attractive one to me. And that's coming from a guy who generally doesn't like painted on hot rod stripes and pinstriping and stuff. This design, it just works for me. And I think the reason I like this particular flame design is it looks more like harpoon hooks, but they're just like going crazy, or you could put like a friendly smile on them and then they become like little dragons. So maybe that's why I personally like this design. So it's cool, and from an era where you didn't find tons and tons of this style of stuff coming out of the Gibson custom shop. Now, as far as the tones, this thing is ridiculously dark. Now, if I put some bright wires on here, would that help a bit with that? Maybe, but I kind of like the really booming jazzy tones you get clean. And then for whatever reason, this thing just inspired me to play Nickelback. I could definitely see Chad Kroeger using this on stage. Whether that's a good or a bad thing, I'll leave that up to you. Alright, Troglodytes, I hope you enjoyed checking out this rare Les Paul Custom with me today. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll catch you tomorrow on the next one. Take care. If you enjoyed tonight's episode, consider subscribing. I post videos like this every day. And you might even enjoy this next one.